I
people
did it.
making yaoi PUBG.
Okay, it works. Don't talk about that.
Alright, let's go.
Anyways, so hello, internet, or whoever actually follows us now. This is basically us evaluating a random document we got from a friend. They
Oh,
basically said,
yes.
sorry for my horrible sickness. Anyways, this is basically something we got from a friend who said their friend made it. It was basically establishing a spectrum between the right and the left, and we read it and it was so bad we wanted to make a video about it. So,
I'm the left, he's the right. So how do you
yes.
offend
You
both
offended
at the same
the
time?
opposite sides of the spectrum at once. So, good job there. Let's begin. We are going to debunk this paragraph by paragraph because why not?
Okay, then that means I will be starting because they start with the left. Oh, why anarchism is a better representation of left than communism. That's just wrong. Because first of all, the left is representing the egalitarian belief, yada yada yada, all of that. But the point here is communism already has an established focal point within its description, which is a stateless society. Already included. Anarchism is just STEM. It doesn't have any
Also,
sort of ideological
you have
behind
to
it
specify
ideologically.
what stateless is then, because I mean it is a bit confusing. You got me excited when you
Okay,
said stateless.
I'll explain it to the anarchist captain. I mean, to the point where the state becomes more of a governing body that is rather than the state as that exists today, which exists as a state.
Oh, so essentially what democracy is supposed to be. Okay,
Simplify it
understood.
like that.
Um, and then anarchism.
Ideologically banned. It's just the system.
Anarchism is a better representation of the left is also... Wait, I'll let you speak first. You speak first. You done?
Yeah. When I'm done, just talk.
Okay, so first, this is...
Anarchism
This
does not
one sentence.
destroy the entirety of the state.
It irritates me
Anarchy
so
does
much.
not define the entirety of the left.
Exactly. In like even this person, they're even being outdated. Because first I need to say this. These people act like they're from the 2000s. Right? They think there's just right and left. Nowadays we have lib right, lib left, auth right, auth left. Not just right and left. Because if left is more liberal, then North Korea is a shining representation of human rights. Right? So we basically added the lib-auth spectrum to it, but they seem to be stuck in 2005. Anarchism being a better representation of the absolute left is just false, because we have this thing called anarcho-capitalists. In fact, I would
the worst ideology ever to raise mankind into politics.
although you have the leftist anarchists who actually think a society can function without rules.
No, they're the worst. They have to be worst. They think that the state is a play, which the
unlike
problem is
us
they
who...
refuse to replace it with anything. It's just...
Yes, at least we replaced it with something that works. What their entire idea is, we don't like the state because it violates our feelings. And it's so funny what... Anyways, sorry for going off topic there. Moving on. They call communism utopia, right? You can debunk that when you want, I don't wanna.
Oh my god. Just because...
Oh my...
Because communism is a utopian vision doesn't mean that it has examples
Exactly. Even ANCAPs agree that you need to constantly revise your works. Unlike him, he condemns all the revisions as revisionism and then puts a bullet in their head.
Shut the fuck up. Those revisionists come from your side, not ours. Okay, continuing.
Anyways, oh my gosh, half of this document is gonna be explaining Marxism in a very wrong way. You can have fun. It was a vision forged in response to rampant inequality and exploitation. But in practice, okay,
This is supposed to be mind section. You're not going to be doing Oh
this is an explanation of what they think is the far right and the far left, and it's wrong in the first three paragraphs. Okay, you can debunk you
Yeah.
can debunk what you see is wrong.
Yeah, I'll take part of that. The vision for is the response to rapid inequality and exploitation of the capitalist. And they like this. When in practice, communism was implemented. So they're just pulling up what they are not talking about the actual definition of communism.
They're
They
just
were
explaining history.
just from purely ideological standpoint, they are not.
I would say they're attempting
Yeah, it was
to
implemented.
because they're technically correct. They're technically correct, but they're just adding fluff.
Ideological standpoint, no. Since they're talking about the economic implementation,
Yeah. Now, the idea of the far right. Credited in far right circles, you mean those like 0.001% of people? If you want, you can call me far right if you define right according to to market absolutism, but economic standpoint, and I'm technically the far right if you go economics wise. Restored order, I don't care. It's not order if there's rampant theft called taxes, though I won't debate that with you right now, I'm too lazy. Disciplined, nationalistic utopia. You are so wrong on so many levels. I will just expose one.
I think he's mixing up far right with conservatism.
Yes. Or I
Conservatism
mean
is
that
on the right, but it's not the absolute.
yeah, and I mean it's technically close to it, but it's not. I would say that this guy was a leftist who attempted to be intellectually honest, but he forgot to be intellectually honest. Because I mean, a disciplined nationalistic utopia, ignoring the utopia part, is basically conservatism. Order that was bathed in blood.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, they're saying... Okay, stark contrast to what the left wanted for itself, equality. You can debunk that. All I know is that you want the end of exploitation under capitalism.
Technically, they're not completely wrong about that. The left side is defined by socialism and communism. They are a utopia in itself, and they are egalitarian. They try to implement equality, but the definition of equality is to define it is by economic equality and social equality is also there. The real thing that I see a problem here find the left as wanting equality in its entirety because communism, which their equality is a stark difference of the equality vanguard socialism or
Anyways. The Holocaust, obviously. I like how you're assuming people glorify what he did, except in like the most free speech areas where they actually exist. Like these people don't exist anywhere else. Wait a bit, I have to clear. Okay, back. I just had mild issues. Okay, I'm not gonna debunk this. This is kind of correct, but we should do a proper video on what is fascism to make it to
So
show
kind
the
of
completely correct.
Yeah. Yeah, okay,
Oh, then we have
and
this.
if
Yeah, this is the left. Okay, that's your job. Wait,
the left is ideological. Yeah.
first, I would like to say dismantling oppressive hierarchies. What do you mean oppressive hierarchies? He's gonna contradict himself like somewhere down here, saying
My
that he basically
just don't believe in the idea of a state.
yeah, basically this guy is saying that all hierarchies are oppressive somewhere around here. I can't remember where, but he said it somewhere. And
When it says dismantling oppressive hierarchies, I'm going to have to specify, since we're not going to be in my own traditional route, I'm going to specify the bourgeois oppressive hierarchy.
yeah, I know I won't.
For an example of that would be state-run capitalism, semi-feudal, and
Yeah, I agree with you that that's basically a horrible system of. I agree with you that that's basically a horrible system. You know how the two of us are just people who saw the issues and went in opposite directions to fix it. Anyways, I want to point out that the author of this will say oppressive hierarchies are oppressive, and then somewhere down here he's gonna say we need some hierarchies. Anyways, go on. Yes.
So, continuing from that, he is correct in the ideological essence. Something the ANCAP is project violence and heavy state. Yeah. Completely correct. The only reason why that happened was the campaign that demonized socialism, and also because the socialistic spirit abolished because capitalists were constantly meddling with the affairs.
Yeah,
It was
you're gonna.
necessary in order to protect the socialism.
I like
With
how
that
it
is,
ends.
if you get a revisionist,
Oh, so it's basically if anyone opposes us, the entire thing's gonna collapse. Good. Thank you, anyways.
Anarchism. My argument,
Anarchism isn't chaos. Okay, that's fine. That's fair. He's completely correct here.
God.
Anarchism is merely the lack of a government. It's basically we don't want someone above us. We don't want someone to rule over us without our consent, which is completely fair. Which is why ANCAPs are anarchists. It's basically, we don't consent to government. We want our own privatized military, privatized healthcare and all that. I won't debate you on the effectiveness. This is not the purpose of the video. It's a principled stance against unjust hierarchy. Against unjust hierarchy. I would like you to note that he never defines what this means anywhere down here. He just says it and acts like that's everything.
What is an unjust hierarchy to
Yeah, they just say examples. They
Define
never
that.
say
What is
what
it?
they want. Right? The reason I consider normal anarchists to be just, I don't know, they just never think things through, is that they just give examples instead of definitions, so it ends up being whatever I decide it is. The state,
And then
fine.
looking at this,
Capitalism, no. Organized, how is people holding a certain type of belief an unjust hierarchy? Like,
tec- technically the hierarchy exists because there's the home that and they
I
view that
mean,
as an unjust hierarchy.
they consider it an unjust hierarchy, but there's part, for example, in me who is a Christian ANCAP, yes, I'm going to piss off the left so much. I do not believe in the complete dominion of organized religion, and it's not like they go after me with guns for it, so I don't think that it's really an unjust hierarchy. They just say it's an opinion to
I
believe it,
agree
and
on that point. Organized religion is not an unjust hierarchy. Don't know what this guy was thinking.
exactly. Then the nuclear family. You built society with the nuclear family and you call it unjust. I'm just gonna leave it at that. Mutual aid, voluntary cooperation. That's literally what I'm saying constantly, and he calls it a scam. By mutual aid, I mean fraternal aid societies, but what this guy thinks is everything should be free, because that's what most normal anarchists I've met think. Everything should be free is dumb, mostly because if you want everything to be free, then someone has to provide the thing. And if someone doesn't want to give it the thing for free, you have to kill them for the thing, which is basically theft. Voluntary cooperation. Yeah, I agree with this. And direct democracy. No. If you want
That's my principle.
direct democracy is mob rule until fine. Fine, you can have that. No bosses, no king.
It's a leftist principle.
Fine. No bosses, no kings, no vanguards.
I will do this.
I like how we agree.
I don't
I agree on
no
only
bosses
these
and
two.
no kings.
So we only
yes, I
overlap
don't-
on no kings. You say
And
no
then
kings, but
no
you want it
vanguards.
to. I like how you say no kings, but you replace it with the one party state. Anyways, was it necessary? Wait, what? Bro, where are you?
I don't know what sort of direct democracy they're talking about here, because direct democracy is not an unjust hierarchy. Direct democracy is the idea that people get to decide what they want directly, either through council, unions, etc., and that goes.
If they're talking about we vote.
So
If
I
they're-
don't understand.
What I'm thinking when a lot of people say direct democracy is we vote for everything. That's literally what I
That's
think.
not how direct democracy works.
Okay, fine, but what
That's
a
not
lot
how
of
direct
people.
democracy works. That's the version of it.
Okay, but the
That's the
closest.
Athenian version of direct democracy. Where it was
Yeah, exactly. You just called it direct democracy. I would say that the Athenian version works if people have brain cells, but historically, people don't really care past if they can get food on the table. So, yeah.
Okay, that's direct democracy.
They say, was it necessary violence? There is no such thing as necessary violence save in the defense of one's own person and property. I'm sure that even the leftist agrees with that. Oh no, that's not what every single left infighting issue stems from. I'm sure that you can debunk that, please. Please? Bro, where are you?
From the fact that there are revisionists. Hello.
Yeah.
Because there are hardliners and there are revisionists. Revisionists are capitalists capitalism, and that is where this
Oh, I
infighting stems from.
understand. I
Necessary
understand
violence
that.
only
So what you're saying is that
like
the
specific scenarios.
so what you're basically saying is that
Damn
the
it, let me finish this
revisionists are
fucking
like
sentence.
fine. I cannot hear you.
Oh god damn it. Alright, so what I'm trying to say here is you have the social democrats, you have all of these different types of leftists, and all of them bourgeois ideas ingrained within them, and that is where most leftist infighting comes from. Where and those who are hardliners thoroughly against these revisionists, and that's where most fighting comes from. Very ideals. You hear that or no?
Yeah, I hear it. Okay, so
Very
what you're
good.
basically saying is by revisionary you mean basically what a neo-pragmatist is to an ANCAP, someone who's willing to sacrifice principle for reasons. I cannot hear you, or you cannot hear me, I can't tell.
I said yes.
Okay. Then
To
we
fix
move
your
on.
audio.
Okay.
I can argue this point for a long time.
I feel like, right,
Anarchists. If we're going,
I
no, if I'm not
think,
fighting, now this is easy.
I feel like this should be left to you. Are you gonna
Yes.
do it, or are we gonna ignore it because of...
Hello. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Shouting into the mic now, just to make sure you can hear.
Okay.
Here, I'm going to argue that anarchists did believe the state is correct.
Yes, anarchists do believe the state is the problem.
Yeah. This is where they diverge from Marxists, that is correct. However, anarchists hold the same Marxist belief in terms of economics. Because in economics, have the state in the early development stage. So I would not classify it, I'm an anarchist to be developed alongside Marxism, but rather an ideology took the idea of a stateless society but went into complete different
So they basically took stateless too
and done.
seriously. Okay, so to
Yes.
any anarcho-communists watching, I apologize if this man pissed you off. Anyways, they say this is correct, I assume, yes?
Let me just look at this for a moment. I mean, yeah, they're correct. It's the more I because of its success with very anarchism. That is it.
Okay. So then, anarchism by... Oh, so they're basically blaming the lack of anarchism in the modern day to fascism. Okay, fair enough. Then there's Hitler.
Yes, what an amazing tweet. And then there's Hitler.
Okay, yeah, this is true. this is basically saying post World War II, like Cold War politics was left versus right, because there was only really interventionist quote liberal democracies, although it was very illiberal considering how the state handled things, and then straight up totalitarianism, which was also how the communists handled things. So yeah, this makes sense. Most of the time anarchists are called
like,
radicals and idealists.
Yeah, like your system of capitalism didn't cause also totalitarian states. Yeah.
I like how you're considering that this has existed in the past, and it's one of the only systems that hasn't led to a dictatorship yet, so good job, me.
Yes, we'll completely ignore Donald Trump, all of the countries.
You forget that I'm an anarchist. I literally called him a freaking tyrant in a I literally called Trump a tyrant. I literally just support him because he's the lesser of two evils. That's it. He's done better than I would. I know.
Shut up.
If you want to fight us in the comment section, if you want this in the comment section, please be civil. I believe that people are capable of not screaming fascist at me for saying that Donald Trump is doing better than Harris. And yes, I do agree that he's a tyrant, and so you can't call me a fascist.
He only agrees on the tax policy then.
Yes.
She's the far right, so I'll let you.
Okay, fair enough. Fascism is technically not the economic right, it's the economic center. In fact, we adopted most of our modern economic systems from fascism. You can look that up. You can ask AI, you can look that up, you can watch a YouTube video that it's correct. We basically use, it's basically our modern economic system, but also authoritarian.
Okay, then I want to clear that up just for a moment.
Fine.
I think that's completely wrong.
Fine. Explain it your way.
Okay. Fascism is modeled off of postmodern economies, the capitalist market system, and also state interventionism.
Yes. Wait. Okay, anyways. So you have... I like how they consider the left to be the shining beacon of individual liberty when North Korea and the USSR existed. Ultranationalist movements.
Wow, like the United...
My guy, I don't know if my... Say that again, I did not hear you properly. Like, seriously.
Oh my god.
Horrible audio annoys you so much, and I love it.
That picture. That's video.
I think it's more of my internet, because it works for all the other stuff. Ultranationalist movements, traditionalist monarchies. Traditionalist monarchies is correct. Ultranationalist movements. I would say that ultranationalist movements are the center in economics, because they're willing to use market economics but usually intervene in it, making it horrible. Traditionalist monarchies tend to also be interventionist, but they are a lot more free market. Rigid social okay. Absolute loyalty to the state is not a right-wing concept. right? In fact, I would say that it is
I'm-
more
they're
enforced.
saying, about,
It's
I think
you can.
he said that some of the fascism that insist on making, they not say the absolute right for the fascism. The only thing wrong about it is adding traditional monarchy.
Traditional monarchies is technically not.
In that sentence, of course, the the nationalist movement, they are typically absolute loyal to the state. I will only
Okay,
make an
fine.
nationalist monarchy.
Traditionalist monarchy is also not, because technically in their homelands they were more liberal, but fine, technically overseas they were not. Look, if you want to know why, look up colonialism. Preservation of order is fine. However, not through not through state power.
Yes.
Okay. Personal autonomy is fine. Collective autonomy, no. But the collective will crush the individual the instant we give it more power than the individual. A clean opposite, diba? Sorry for big. He's Filipino. We are Filipino, I mean. Okay, fine. He's technically correct here. Personal autonomy is also correct. I would say collective autonomy is kind of correct, but it's more of a left anarchist thing. Clean opposite, I wouldn't say, because the collective
Kind of
can
incorrect.
easily create a tyranny by majority, as we have seen. Because the collective can either turn
I'm
into
gonna say
mob
that's
rule or
technically
tyranny by
incorrect.
majority.
I'm gonna say it's technically incorrect because collective autonomy describes council republic, direct democracy, etc. Since that is a different, I would not let it fall under the anarchy.
Yes, I would
He is
consider.
definitely personal autonomy. I would not take on collective.
Yeah, I would say that anything that uses force to enforce more than than the axioms of the non-aggression principle is basically not anarchy. I would like to say that. You say you want to punch people who you disagree with politically, and you want to use the collective to do that. I'm pretty sure that's a thing called genocide. And I'm pretty sure the best way to do it is using government. Anyways, okay. Technically correct, fine. Revolutionary
About fascism in the description because
revolutionary nationalist, I
link the
would.
video about fascism in the description. We are not.
Yeah, we're not gonna explain what fascism is. If he's gonna make wrong things about fascism, we'll just give you that video because we don't want to explain it. Sometimes blur with conservative or reactionary. No, it cannot blur with conservative or reactionary movements. It's like a clear line you can draw. Most conservatives ostracize you for being fascist. I would like to say that. In fact, the closest thing we believe to fascism is just trans women are not women. And no, I won't say my ideas on that. You If you want to debate that in the comments, go on. But I don't care right now. At least not right now.
I will take over the reactionary movements. Reactionary movements are basically reactionary. They react against leftist progressiveness or just blocking them politically. So yeah, there is also a clear reactionary movement. They are neither completely fascist, they aren't capitalistic. You can define them as reactionary movements because they react against
Oh, so I'm one of them.
yes, very reactionary.
Oh, I would. Fine. This and hardly know the meaning of. Yeah, I'm pretty sure what everyone knows what English socialism is, anyways. Hierarchy.
Yes, like Orwell does a
Fine.
perfect job.
Technically, hierarchy, order, and the preservation of no. In fact, most modern Trumpists or conservatives, Christian conservatives, and all of that, they would say that they do not want to preserve existing social structures. You know why? Because existing social structures are horrible. Not necessarily traditional family values and all that, but mostly modern government structures are horrible. So of course we're not gonna preserve it. Okay, good job. Yes, true. Okay, natural equality exists. I'm gonna annoy lots of the leftists here, but natural equality exists. People are going to call me fascist for this, but different cultures are which have different values, different social norms, and different ideas are going to have different outcomes in life. I'm sorry if this hurts your feelings, but I don't think that true equality exists. When people, or for example, when in America they say, we want, for example, when the American founders say, all men are created equal, they mean equal rights, not equal materially. Because it's obvious, of course, the one who's created a genius and the one who's made for the sports are not the same or equal.
How did you actually say something smart?
My guy, it's literally common sense. Libertarians have to adopt
Exactly, I
some
didn't
kind
think
of
you'd have it.
Darwinism. Libertarians have to adopt
I didn't think
a
you'd have that.
market-oriented type of Darwinism, or else their entire thing will turn into straight leftist identity politics, and we hate that.
Oh, you're talking. Yeah, never mind.
Anyways, where are we? Hierarchy, order. Of course, nobody says that we shouldn't have more social order. The preservation of existing social structures, I said this. Tradition, fine. Traditional cultural norms is fine. Nationalism is fine as long as it's love for your homeland, not love for the government. Religious authority, that depends on who you ask. Property rights, oh my days, who would have thought it? The right who is known for being free market economics loves property rights. Society does not function best when people know their place, otherwise we wouldn't have entrepreneurs and inventions. No, the state how you're I like how this man is acting like an average leftist. Total. Okay, this is technically true, but it requires
That's
some
that
kind
one.
of collectivism. It requires a, I would say, totalitarianism here is the closest thing he has to correct. Because, fine, fair enough. It technically doesn't require an ideology. It's basically just
Collective.
government will do everything as much as possible, which is basically 1984. But it technically requires a command economy, or else the entire thing will collapse because the market will make people prosperous enough to understand that they're not supposed to be living in a society where they have no rights. Anyways, for the absolute right, oh my days, this man calls it the absolute right. Okay, so I would like to say that most conservatives, if you go to the Philippines, most conservatives are the Christian conservative types, the conservatives who live off of it, who live it because of Christian means or Christian ideas. If they saw a totalitarian dictatorship, they would scorn at it. Right? There is nobody who actively says we should have a totalitarian dictatorship. But the absolute right is probably closer to an absolute monarchy, which is why I would say the absolute right isn't 1984. I would say it's more of Tsarist Russia. Or if you're following his definitions.
Yeah. A Tsarist Russia as the absolute right is the bill. Yeah, I would say so. Okay. Now, if you could make an argument that maybe Prussia could also be.
Okay,
I
Prussia
don't
was
think it
more
had
of
the
a
amount of
constitutional
political
monarchy.
suppression.
Yeah, it was more constitutional and it had more limits to government power than, say, the Tsarist Russia. It was not the absolute right. It was
And it
kind
also
of.
felt more. Prussia, it felt more like a centrist, right? Because
Yeah,
you have the yokel class, so there's definitely some sort of hierarchy with this, but it was less of a spread compared to the Russian monarchy. Yeah.
yeah. Then we have. I would say that. Fine. Oh wow, he put the clarification all the way here. So this man was saying
About to say this. I was about to say this. I was going to say that this sounds a lot like the divide between the French Revolution in we left and the traditionalists who went to the right side of that building.
exactly. This is just
They clarified this in the beginning.
you should state
They described
the
this
beginning of
earlier.
it would have removed so much
To
of the
be
critique.
fair, they still got a lot wrong.
Yeah,
Still got a lot
still
wrong.
got
At least,
I apologize for live
at least it
reacting
isn't
like this.
completely
It's funny.
stupid.
At least it isn't completely wrong like
Alright,
before. Centrism doesn't exist. The most correct
yes.
thing here. Okay, fine. Centrism does exist. Centrism technically does exist, but it's mostly people who who follow the middle ground fallacy that the middle between two extremes is always good. Or the type of people who never actually think things through. They're the kind of people who just want food on the table and the ability to live a decent that here.
Sad we don't get to edit this.
Yeah. What was this joke at the end?
I'll try to explain the joke here. Cherry picking between green grapes and purple grapes. Maybe the one can use freeze it. Oh. Point in which like they're both grapes. If you try to do anything to pick them, it doesn't matter. You're still getting grapes. And then the this doesn't make sense, even on a metaphorical standpoint.
Yeah. Okay,
Of
anyways.
this is like saying
Bad joke. Sorry if you
it's
subjected your
better
eyes to that. So basically
how
what
they
this is
describe it
saying,
here.
okay, so centrism tends to be either I support the middle of the popular opinion or I support the status quo with some mild changes. Market economics combined with modern social. No, it emphasizes Keynesian economics. It emphasizes interventionism, which is not okay. Fine, it's market economics, but it's not market economics in the Austrian schools or the
Yeah, it's a
actual.
Keynesian, and nobody likes
It's
the Keynesian.
Keynesianism. The Keynesians are dumb. They literally
Yes.
tried to replace. They tried to apply science to a field with thousands upon thousands upon thousands of different variables and expected it to work. They tried to apply the scientific method to a field with infinite amounts of variables. You can't do that.
Continue.
Gradual reform. Okay. This is technically true. Liberalism being center right. Okay, fine. I'll make it clear. If you're gonna use this kind of spectrum, then yes, classical liberalism, and I'm specifying classical liberalism as in the Enlightenment form of liberalism, is the center right. However, if you want neoliberalism, right, modern neoliberalism is very far left. It just says that they're center left.
I don't even know. The left does not. The left. The liberals. Liberals are not on the left side of the spectrum.
Okay, fine.
All of us reject neoliberalism.
All of us reject it, but if you look at their beliefs, they're on the left. It doesn't matter if we absolutely hate them or their positioning, they're technically on the left. Deal with it. Because they technically,
But since they have
well, communism bad, but when you
kind of
examine
on
their
the right.
rhetoric, they use the same stuff as neo-Marxists.
Neolibs are still more think they're all about privatization, deregulation, etc.
Fine.
Economically,
Yes, they are technically more to the right, but if you examine how they think, for example, if you examine the modern US neoliberalism, you would agree that that is the far left. There's no dispute to that. However, if you examine normal neoliberalism, like for example, in other countries where it isn't as polarized, it tends to be more right wing.
I just got a goddamn brain aneurysm.
I would like to tell you that you can just look at government policies and then classify it according to left or right. It's that easy. And for a while, I'm technically saying yes, governments are fluid in where they are on the
Truly
spectrum.
left-wing
Doesn't
government
truly.
things exist in like the communist side or they like Marxist policies, then yes, it's a left
Exactly.
freedom, etc. And then it's a right-wing government. It's not that hard. But
Down
in
to
the
democracy,
going
I
to achieve a true left government.
okay, I would like to admit that yes, it's hard to achieve a true left government, but it doesn't exist. But it does exist. Sorry.
What do you mean
Wait,
it's hard?
wait, wait. I would
Capitalistic
say that
intervention.
if you want to overthrow the government via violent revolution, which technically has to happen for your ideology to function, according to you at least, it is hard to achieve mostly because the leaders of a revolution tend to use the power they gain from the revolution to simply create authoritarianism. Like, seriously. If you
Authoritarianism, the beginning is a necessary step. That's called vanguardism. You can't,
okay, so you mean
however,
silencing
it
your
is
political
possible
opponents
that the
is a
leader gets corrupted.
hey, that
Exterminating the bourgeois is quite literally a necessary step in this idea.
I
It is
know,
very
but if you
necessary because we're gonna have people like you saying you don't know while we're trying to commit reforms. See, the problem here, I'm literally debating. Continue.
anyways, okay, so earlier they said hierarchies are oppressive, and they say this is why I reject the idea that there
Not
can be any
necessarily
form
the
of.
oppression.
This is why libertarians
Yes,
define use class. The libertarian class theory is that the government is a parasite and that the people, the working people, and the capitalists are the productive class of people who do their job and be productive in the economy while the government leeches off of us through taxes. That's basically my class theory, and that's
it's
the
not like the
libertarian.
class theory just derived from Marxism. Class, and there's an own class,
Yes,
which is the proletarian
obviously,
masses. Simple.
there's obviously no one who disagrees that there is a class divide. It's just that nobody agrees on what it is. Most people agree that there's one parasitic class and there's one productive class. It's just that anarchists and statists disagree on whether it's the rich, the bourgeoisie, or the government.
Petty bourgeoisie.
Fine, the petty
The
bourgeoisie.
government. You should say that instead.
Okay, so you mean the corporatists.
When I say yeah, the corporates. When I say
Okay,
both
yeah,
the
they're the
capitalist
worst.
class and the beauty capitalist.
Okay, fine. Technically, the lobbying sector is a way for the bourgeoisie to collude with the government to reduce personal freedoms. And I hate that, which is why I both usually hate on what you call the petty bourgeoisie, or the crony capitalists, or the corporatists, depending on who you ask. But the normal capitalists, the people who are rewarded with consented to it. Okay,
No,
that's my
they did
answer.
not. You could, nope, nope. You could put and the fact that they have zero options left on the table. You may disagree on the zero options, but it's the same. If you look through every single corporation at this moment in time, sort of pay. They don't have higher pay for this, higher pay for that. No. They have this same fucking minimum wage earning. And there is no difference. So even if you coerce, they're
Yes,
being coerced
obviously,
through a
if you
lack of
have.
options and the option of starvation.
So what you're essentially saying is that the freedom to choose whether you
No,
want to
no, no,
work
no.
for
You're not
someone
going.
or
No,
not.
you are not
I
going
will not
to
pull that.
because I
I would
know
say that.
you are
Say,
going to
I
pull
would.
that. You are going to
I am going to pull that.
right now in my vision. God damn it.
Okay. Anyways, I like how you're saying that. How must I say this? Obviously, if you have the petty bourgeoisie corporatists who literally lobby the state to give them legal monopolies and essentially collude with each other so that they can keep wages low, obviously they're going to get they're going to be able to pay people minimum wage because there's nobody else to work for. But if you keep the state outside of the economy and if you keep them from intervening and adding regulations that benefit corporations and the large corporations and large businesses, you can essentially prevent the stifling of competition. And since competition creates
What you're
increasing,
saying is,
we need competition.
in this point in time, you're trying to just say this by creating a middle class, still essentially the working masses of the proletariat. Because in your
What I'm
system, I can envision that yes, there would be a middle class that would emerge from this. I can see that. However, that does not devolve from the capitalist system. So no, we're not going to do that.
Okay, so what I'm not done yet. I forgot to mention the law. We went off topic for the past 5 minutes. What are we doing? Did we get way too distracted?
But this is what happens when you have a leftist and a rightist in the same room. We're not going to agree on things. Continue the damn
Fair
thing.
enough, let's just ignore it. Pragmatic compromise. What are you, a neo-prag?
Compromise. Oh no. It have to be ideal to be an actual option for you to do. If you have no ideals, you represent nobody.
Exactly. If you want to compromise ideals, like for example, revisionaries and the socialists, the way socialists call it, or the neo-prags as the ANCAPs call it, if you're going to compromise ideals for temporary political gains, you're basically sacrificing your movement. You're basically
Exactly.
you're basically turning into centrists.
Exactly. Okay, continue.
After this, we're gonna have 2 videos explaining how our systems work so that we don't end up accidentally strawmanning each other because of lack of info.
Best straw man is class in the upper
And
class.
I'm not referring to one of us, I'm referring to both of us. I feel like I have strawmanned you in the past without realizing it.
You have.
I think.
I've run our
Exactly.
debates to AI. I can
how you're saying that well is so what you're saying is there.
I actually agree with that. However, the only thing wrong about this is you can argue without oppression if your system is going to be like, let's say, capitalism.
If your system is going to be
You cannot enforce that.
okay, here's what I'm gonna say. Under socialism there is theoretically not an upper class. Theoretically, but under vanguardist socialism it's basically the higher class is the state. Oh my gosh, this video has surpassed 1 hour recording. We need to finish this fast. So what I would say, you can never have no upper class. You have to have an upper class that's or class mobility.
A transitionary phase of social have an upper class
Transitionary
that is
phase of
dedicated